The final week till Christmas.
I can't even believe it.
And, out and watching the people shopping, because I just let my wife do all that. And a lot we do online, but watching the people, everybody is just so stressed out. And if you're driving in your car and you, get into a parking place that somebody else thinks they should have had, oh, my Lord, it's terrible. So, yeah.
I just always
crazy.
go for the last spot in the lot to avoid any complications.
You're better off that way.
Because nobody's going to argue with you for taking the last spot in the parking lot.
I can't believe you took this. I always like the one furthest away.
I like the exercise.
I love to walk. All right, coming up here by the way, 1 week from today, it's our Christmas Eve extravaganza, which is sponsored in part by Charlie's Pizza, which has their catering deal. So any last-minute catering plans you might have, they'll cater your party. Buy one full tray of anything, greens, pasta, chicken riggies, chicken franchise, whatever, and get a second full tray, equal or lesser value, at half price. It's really, really big. Some sports action over the weekend. Here's the good news. We do not have to worry about whether or not Syracuse is going to be in a three-way tie in the AP Top 25. Holy cow. Did you see any of that game?
I did not catch the game.
Oh,
no.
my
I was
God.
caught up in football this weekend.
They just could not make a bucket. It was just horrible. I mean, it was awful. It's like one of the worst halves of basketball I think I've ever seen Syracuse play.
Having a veteran team that's been around and seen it before is a great thing because you know how to react to situations. You're less intimidated by the moment. Still got to put the ball in the bucket, though.
And if you're battle or the it was just awful. Really bad. Bills win yesterday. Giants are officially joining the Bills.
See ya.
Out of the playoffs. I don't think there's a mathematical opportunity at this point. There was prior to this weekend.
Yeah, Dallas being 8-5 entering yesterday meant losing out there, and we went out. We're both 8-8. Maybe there was a chance with a tiebreaker that we could get it, but no, at 5-9, you're not going anywhere.
We'll talk to John Decker from Fox News coming up, and he's the legal guy for Fox News, and we'll get a little take on where he feels the president is right now. An interesting weekend. The president, at one point over the weekend, calling for SNL to be investigated and tested by the courts because apparently they're so one-sided. Usually,
you're kidding me.
I'm hoping that he was there was a question mark after being investigated or tested by the courts. I think is what he did with a question mark. Yeah, that's kind of a little bit troublesome.
It is.
But I almost kind of think he does this stuff just to get everybody going.
Yeah, I was going to say, and worse than that, speaking of troublesome, I was just totally confused by Rudy yesterday on the Sunday shows.
I don't know if you watched any of that, but it was just like arguing with the craziest girlfriend you ever had in your life. And then you're in the middle of the argument, and you're like, oh, my God, I've forgotten what even got us here. I don't know what we're arguing about. I don't know if I'm right or wrong. I don't know what she's saying. I am completely confused. At one point, Chris Wallace said, you're confusing you're confusing things. And Rudy Giuliani came back and said, no, you're confusing things. You're confusing the public. No, he's asking a question. His question was pretty simple. Do you feel the president was lying? And he played a video clip where the president clearly was lying. But Rudy would not go there. It was amazing. I believe he is a master at the art of confusion.
Yes.
And not confused. Initially, I thought he was confused. Now I feel it is by design. And it works. Right?
I was confused.
I was completely confused. So, maybe he is doing his job. And listen, I don't think if you could be the biggest, most staunch supporter of the President of the United States, of Donald Trump, and even you would say, yeah, he has a tough time telling the truth. We're not sure why, but he does. And we think he's doing it just to mess with you. That's the line. So, but no one is out there saying he's completely 100% fully honest because there's so much evidence that he hasn't been. And maybe it is by design. Maybe it's to get people talking. Maybe the comment about SNL and investigating the media. Maybe that's all just to get people talking and kind of thinking about something else. I don't know. Speaking of SNL, it was quite funny. Depending on where you are, you might have watched it and said, "This is horrible." They did a Christmas Christmas Past. Did you see the? Did you?
Yeah, It's a Wonderful Life.
It's a Wonderful Life, which was done in black and white, and it was really well thought out. Obviously, it was all slanted, but that's what happens when you're a sitting president. Well, no one's ever been attacked like this president. Maybe not. But at the same time, you're the president. You're going to be I got a call last night from those BBC guys.
Oh, yeah.
That were asking what's going on. Do you know what they wanted to talk about last night? SNL.
Yeah.
Absolutely right, because Theresa May was a part of the bit. So it is whatever you say, wherever you are on this, it's definitely intriguing if you follow politics. So we'll talk a little bit about that. Also, climate change. Is it real? Simon Owen on that from Fox News. We'll talk to the mayor of Rome coming up. Finally, that train station is back open. It was a real hazard as there was a structural problem. And it is back open as of 7 a.m. this morning, which is a huge convenience for members of the public there who utilize Amtrak. Our favorite guest in the world is coming in this morning from the United Herkimer Solid Waste Authority. Holiday recycling tips with our very own, she's not ours, but we try to claim her. Jamie Tuttle is in this morning. That'll be great. And also Mark Kelso from the Buffalo Bills. The Bills, of course, with a pretty big win. I just was so frustrated over the fact that Fox locally, and I even had a conversation with Steve over the weekend from Fox.
Well, don't go getting people
WFXB.
upset, Bill. Calm down, because we're on that channel right now. I need you to turn off our channel.
Livid over the fact that they didn't run the Bills game, and they went with the Dallas game yesterday. I get it, the Bills are out of it. But if you're a Buffalo Bills fan, you are loyal. You are there. You are there, even if only to say, wow, that Josh Allen, we're moving in the right direction. But you're there. And to not be able to watch the game, and I was going through everything. I was trying to figure out the way to bootleg the ticket, the Sunday ticket. I was trying everything. Nothing. So I ended up going out there. And my kids went to the soccer game yesterday, which was incredible. So I watched the game at the 72 Tavern, which was pretty cool.
Yeah, another win for UCFC.
Big one. They're now 4-1, right? And a colonoscopy. I'll get into that story coming up from
I know
Friday.
you buried the lead.
Well, we'll get into it. It was, as one might expect, if you know me, nothing goes smoothly. And I believe a lot of that is self-induced. John Decker standing by right now from Fox News. Good morning, John.
Hey, good morning to you. How are you both doing today?
Well, we're doing well. I'm cancer-free and plowing forward. I just had a colonoscopy, so.
Oh, that's good news. Good news indeed. What a great way to enter the holiday season.
It really is.
John's news story for the day, Bill's colonoscopy.
Yeah. All right, so.
Let's talk about that all morning.
we trust me, we might just do that. All right, so over the weekend, the president, very, very feisty, and at one point calling on SNL to be maybe investigated, tested by the courts. Can you just assure us that there might be an amendment out there that is protecting satire?
I hope so. I hope so. I watched that cold open from SNL. I thought it was funny, So, lock me up. I don't know. Obviously, the president was not pleased by the same thing that made maybe you and I laugh, but there's nothing that was illegal, nothing that was slanderous, and anything that SNL did over the weekend. I think you hit the nail right on the head. That is the definition of satire.
Yeah,
and that's exactly what that is.
I got to tell you, as someone who watches SNL on a pretty weekly basis, and sometimes I do get confused because some of the stuff, the content is I don't even know what the hell they're talking about sometimes. But I felt last night or Saturday night was really unbelievably creative and extremely funny. I just thought it was funny.
Yeah, no, I think that's right. If you're talking about the cold open, the play on "It's a Wonderful Life," I thought that was very creative, and it was great to see all the various, outside characters come in. Ben Stiller playing Michael Cohen, and of course Matt Damon, who was the show host, coming back and doing his role again as Brett Kavanaugh. So, no, I laughed pretty hard. I thought it was pretty creative.
All right. So beyond that, there's the Mueller investigation, and, of course, the president now has a chief of staff. There's been a lot going on, so let's talk about his weekend.
Well, that's right. So we learned this towards the end of the week. I think it was on Friday that it was announced that there will be a new chief of staff, an acting chief of staff. This is Mick Mulvaney. People asked me who I thought was going to be the replacement for John Kelly, and I said Mick Mulvaney. And indeed, he's the acting chief of staff. He may actually end up taking that role on a permanent basis. He comes over from the budget office, where he is the White House budget director, and I think he's the perfect fit for the president. The president likes him. He respects him. The cabinet likes and respects him. He understands the role of chief of staff, and I think it's a good fit overall for him. Meanwhile, we have a deadline coming the end of this week. The deadline is funding the federal government over the weekend. The White House and leadership in Congress, they were talking about a 2-week extension. So that's sort of what they're sort of pinning their hopes on, so that there is not a partial government shutdown at the end of this week.
So there would be, it depends on if it's Schumer, it's like the world is coming to an end. But in reality, about 30% of the workforce, federal workforce, would be on some sort of layover if this were to shut down.
Well, that's exactly right, because about 75% or so of the federal government is funded for the fiscal year. They ended up passing 7 of those funding bills, and there are some that are outstanding, including the funding for the Department of Homeland Security. The president insisting that there be funding in that particular legislation for a border wall with Mexico, and the Democrats saying that's just not going to happen. And that's why we are having this threat of a partial government shutdown at the end of this week.
And the 2-week extension would be, oops, we did lose him, darn it. He's gone at 6:30. He's gone. Yeah. The 2-week extension would be a real issue. It'd be almost like the movie Christmas Vacation, right? So Clark comes home, and he's like, yeah, I'm just about to pay off all the layaway to be able to get all your Christmas gifts, but I'm on furlough for the next 2 weeks until they figure things out. The government's been shut down. Right?
Okay.
This is the wrong time for a government
This is the country's
shutdown.
Jelly of the Month Club, is what you're saying.
Think of this. It's only 30% of the federal workforce. I mean, 70 to 75% of the workforce will continue working. Those 30% are going to be pretty vocal. Now, the other line I heard yesterday defending this was, it was somebody defending the president yesterday and said, well, listen, it's not like they're not going to get paid back. They'll all get their money. But the problem is you're not getting your money at Christmas time. And if you are a paycheck-to-paycheck type person,
sure,
you're relying on that last paycheck of the year to be able to celebrate the holidays. So I kind of think that they'll come up with some solution, at least to get this out of the very, very bad news story, the very, very bad optics of pulling this shutdown during the holidays.
Right.
I can't imagine it's going to happen. But there's a lot of threat going on out there. We'll talk about that. And also Simon Owen coming up on... And his issue this morning is global warming.
Yeah,
I guess is it real?
He's our over-the-pond correspondent from Fox News. So,
are we all in agreement, though, that global warming is real? The debate really is over whether or not it's man-made?
Yes.
Isn't that the even I think the president believes that. I don't think he's thinking there's not a climate change going on. The question is, how much are pollutants or plastic in the water or whatever, how much is that all causing it? We have a lot to get into today. I heard we gave away a free money winner on Friday.
Yeah.
Sorry.
What
away?
What was the question? What are the Mets colors? Is it orange or blue or both? You come up with the answer.
No, it was actually, what does the C stand for in Kentucky Fried Chicken? Was the question.
Think about it. No, that's not what the question was. The question was, Kentucky Fried Chicken actually put out a holiday Yule log that smells like Kentucky Fried Chicken.
Yeah.
So the question was, when it came around, what fast food outlet, put out a Yule log? That was the question. Yeah,
it
the
smells
answer
like
was,
they're finger-licking good products.
Oh, that's a tough one.
Hey, listen, I was in the holiday spirit, okay?
Hey, Hobica loved it. He was complaining all weekend long. You're not
Mission
there.
accomplished.
You're not there, and they're asking these easy questions on the air. They're giving my money away. I don't like it. Hold on, we'll do news coming up, and a lot to get into here for this Monday back. And at some point, I will talk about I've talked to dozens of people that have gone through the colonoscopy. Simple and easy. You're in and you're out. Even if you have polyps removed, you're in and you're out. But I gotta say, never with me. There's always something, and I do feel like at times my issues are self-induced. I'm repeating what my wife
Well,
said.
not this, though. I mean, I don't think you and...
It really was.
Okay.
It was my own fault. I really think in part, it was my own fault. I don't think the 102 temperature that I developed had anything to do with anything I ate or anything, but I certainly lent to the... I added to the disaster. And it was a simple 12-hour disaster. Painful one, but 12-hour disaster. But it is what it is. I'll get into it coming up. Good morning, Rachel. And we have a little rain falling out there. I'm assuming in the higher elevations it might be in the freezing precipitation. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. Yeah, that's what's left over from yesterday, so that'll wrap up over the next couple hours or so. It could be freezing rain in the higher elevation spots, but we'll warm up just slightly above freezing today, so whatever's left over, if it doesn't wrap up soon, it'll probably switch over to rain for about an hour or so. But by the end of the day, we'll be dry, and then we actually cooled down for the first half of the work week. We'll be in the 30s, and then heading toward the weekend, we'll probably warm up again. So we're getting a series of storm systems over the next couple weeks that we're going to end up on the warm side of things, it looks like right now. So that means rain in probably 40s and possibly even 50s.
50s?
Wow, that's... So the thought of a possible white Christmas, if you were to give it a percentage, I mean, you're a week out.
I don't want to put a percentage on it. Don't let me ruin Christmas.
All right, I'm going to ruin it. I'm going to ruin it. I think it's 0, for God's sake.
You're only going to ruin
no
Christmas
chance.
for like half the people.
There's definitely time for any of these storm systems if they slide a little bit further east and stay a little south too. That would put us on the cold side of things, and we've been in that situation, dozens of times. It happens every winter. So there's still a lot of factors that all have to line up right, but we'll see.
Well, I have to say it's a shame because this is the one time of the year where even the people who hate snow are like, I'm good with the snow. After New Year's, let's get right back to some sunshine and higher temperatures. But this is the one time of the year people are like, I'm all right with the snow.
Yeah.
It's so beautiful.
I'm in that boat, too.
All right, interesting.
I know. We'll see.
All right, Rachel. And for you, of course, snowmobiling, those snowmobile trails are just being, it looked like we were moving in the right direction, but they're being decimated right now.
Yeah. And I think with the colder weather, whatever's left will hold up for a while. But
sure.
Snow would be good.
All right, Rachel, thanks so much. Rachel Witter is the chief meteorologist at Eyewitness News. Coming up, we'll talk to Simon Owen on Fox News on the climate change issue. Is it real? That's up next to WIBX. Climate change. Where are we in the United States? How does the rest of the world look at us? Currently, the question is really not whether or not there's climate change. It's is it or is it not man-made? Simon Owen standing by right now. How does the rest of the world look at us right now, Simon?
Well, I mean, there's a curious situation where we've just seen a huge global climate summit wrapping up in the town of Katowice in Poland. This is the same summit that was in the series that brought us the Paris Accord in 2015, which President Obama went to. That was one where hundreds of world leaders were in town in Paris and signed up to that accord. Well, this meeting that's just wrapped up in Poland was about putting a rule book in place to implement everything that was agreed in Paris 3 years ago. And they were pretty happy at the end of it because there was an agreement on a range of measures that will bring the Paris Climate Accord into operation in 2020. Now, the most important absentee there is the United States. And President Trump announced a few months ago that the U.S. would be quitting the Paris Accord. It can't do it yet. It can't leave until 2020 because so far the U.S. is committed until that date. But President Trump has made it clear that if he's still in power come the end of 2020, the U.S. will be gone from that agreement. And yet, because it's still involved for a few more years, the U.S. was at this summit. And one of the curious things that we saw the Trump administration doing was apparently they had a sideshow at the event promoting fossil fuels, which is not the sort of thing that you normally hear at these climate conferences. But apparently, it was done, fairly respectfully, and some countries agreed with what the Trump administration was saying. Others are very unhappy that the U.S. won't be involved in the Paris Accord anymore.
So it's really not I think that the president's claim, number one, is that he does not discard the thought that there's climate change, but whether or not it's man-made. That's part one. Part two is the president's basically coming out and saying, we understand the environment and the planet and doing the right thing, but we're talking about jobs here. We're talking about the economy, and I am not going to tank our economy for this. How does the rest of the world respond to that?
Well, I think that has to be taken in the context of how the president frames it, which is that he's refusing to take it for American jobs when the rules are different for other major economies, and primarily you're talking about the Chinese there.
Yeah.
I mean, I was in Paris when this agreement was struck in 2015, and so we got the documents from every country, and the way the Paris Accord works is that you you volunteer what you're going to do, and you set yourself targets for what you're going to do with the economy, with your environment and how you're going to handle it. And the US put some quite ambitious goals forward. Other countries were perhaps less ambitious.
Yeah.
I remember reading the Russian document, and I think their greenhouse gas emissions were actually going to increase under their pledges under the Paris Accord. And then you have the Chinese as well, who say that, look, Western countries have enjoyed their boom years without any climate responsibility, so we're entitled to some boom years of our own because we're still catching up over here. So that's his problem. It's that the rules are not universal. The Paris Accord was all about volunteering what you're going to do, and I think it's probably fair to say that President Trump feels that other countries haven't committed enough. That's what he doesn't like about it. But the fear around the world, if you're talking about the perception of the U.S., I think there was fear that the Paris Accord might just crumble like a sort of set of dominoes or a house of cards once the U.S. pulled out, because it's such an important signatory. And yet, it's if anything, it's growing, because there are a couple of other countries that had held out on it. Nicaragua was one. It's now joined the accord. And I think at the last check, it's only the United States and Syria that are not signed up to the Paris Accord. So far, in Syria at least, it is holding.
And this does seem to be the way this president negotiates, by saying it's not fair. We're getting basically screwed in the deal, so we're going to pull out. And almost as if that is part of his art of the deal, that maybe everybody will negotiate back to something more equitable across the world. Certainly, interesting times. Simon Owen, we really appreciate it. Thanks so much.
Thanks a lot.
We'll break.
What did he do?
now?
I didn't catch this yesterday.
He held a big press conference that is warning people who have put, especially in New York City, who have put live Christmas trees in their home. The live trees, and he actually is holding up a picture of it, could very well be infested by the very invasive spotted lanternfly.
Spotted lanternfly.
You're bringing them in your house. You're bringing the bugs in your house.
Are they really bad?
Well, look at them. They look like a giant tick. They're disgusting.
That's disgusting.
Yeah. You want those in your house?
Absolutely.
You know, the one that I have a problem with is that the stink bug.
Oh, yeah.
Right? Once they get in, it's hard to get rid of them. Although I worked hard this year, and I think I eradicated, at least for now, I got rid of the problem. And you just have to keep killing them. And you
gotta
have
be relentless.
You have to be relentless. One gets away, and then two, and you know what happens.
You don't take a Thursday afternoon off.
No,
that's right.
You have to be committed to this fight.
You must be there, and every day I would go out, and at the worst with that stink bug problem, when it was at its worst, which is usually in the fall, like early fall, is I would go out into a screen room. And there would be, you guys saw it. There would be like
covering the
30
screen,
or 40 of them on the screens. So I'd get my little dust buster and I'd suck them up, put them in water, and they die in water. I'd walk away and come back half an hour later, and there are another 30 or 40 of them. But I was relentless. Those people would be like, oh, another 40, I'm giving up.
Yeah.
No.
And I'm glad you went with the slow torture method, to send a message.
Yes. Well, and it did say that that could help.
Yeah.
It's possible that some of the other stink bugs will be like, oh, my God, look at those stink bugs.
Look at that horrible way to die, a vacuum to water.
We're all riding home and everything. Yeah. Don't come to Keeler.
He's got a dustbuster. So
the big mechanical machine is back.
But now you have Schumer. The kids talk their parents into putting one of those little Christmas trees in their Manhattan beautiful apartment, and they got it in there. It's all alive, and now you're sitting there, and it's not just the lights that are twinkling. There's movement in that tree. And that's, even if there isn't, Schumer's got people scratching and stuff at the holidays.
Well, he's 2 weeks too late, isn't he?
Probably, yeah.
Yeah, if you've waited this long to get your Christmas tree, you wasted money on a Christmas tree.
A woman in Canada accidentally shipped her 1-year-old cat, Bailu, in the mail a couple of weeks ago. That was a mistake. She was taping up some boxes when he climbed in and got sent 745 miles from Nova Scotia to Montreal. The cat survived, clawed his way out of the box while he was in the back of the shipping truck. Volunteers drove him 17 hours back to Nova Scotia on Saturday.
2 cats, 2 dogs, 3 kids. There was only 1 cat. By lunchtime, I knew he was gone. It was a horrible feeling. Just one by one, taped each one up, and he got in there. She paused, and she said, so you didn't ship a cat? My first question was, is he alive? Did I kill my cat? He's been treated like royalty.
We were all extremely relieved that Baloo made it okay to Montreal, that he survived. The
cat's name, I've heard enough of this. Baloo. Baloo is the name of the cat. But that can happen. Cats will crawl into anywhere. They crawl into your engine and be sitting up on top of the engine when you start the car.
In Nova Scotia, you don't have much of an accent, but in Montreal, you picked it up immediately. That was what I was intrigued by.
Last night, the Miss America pageant was held in Bangkok. Miss Philippines won. Catriona Gray was the winner. And here's Steve Harvey with the correct announcement.
Oh.
He's stalling just because he knows he could get it wrong, right?
Yeah.
He's double, triple checking.
Everybody checking this. If he's got people, his assistants double checking. I think you got it right. I think we're good. And I don't think the president has any role in this anymore. I think he sold all the rights away. He used to, I believe, own or at least be a controlling partner in the Miss Universe pageant.
Is that Rose at Miss Universe?
Yeah, I think he had involvement in a lot of them.
I get confused. To me, they're all the damn
same. Did they take the swimsuit out of this one?
Is the world, and then there's Miss America, right?
And the swimsuits out of these two?
I think this is a major. They're the ones that. You remember Miss America would have swimsuits, but they years ago used to be one piece. That's how they used to do it.
Okay.
And Miss Universe, right from the beginning, maybe it was as soon as Trump got involved. They were bikinis right from the start. So I don't think they've gotten rid of any bathing suits out of Miss Universe. I didn't watch it. There's a parrot in England who ordered over 20 items from Alexa the other day. Light bulbs, a knife, and another bird. Who says these birds aren't smart? He's an African gray parrot named Rocco, and he lives with the handler from an animal sanctuary who took him in. Over 20 items that the parrot has ordered by using Alexa.
He ordered another bird?
Apparently ordered another bird.
He has a mail order bride?
I believe so.
Female.
Date night.
Christmas Eve extravaganza, and it happens 1 week from today, from 6 a.m. until 12 noon. Whether you're a part of it or you know somebody that's a part of it, it's a pretty cool show. And it is sponsored in part by Charlie's Pizza, and they have their big catering special, and they'll be filling the place with food.
I can't wait for the food. I can't wait for the show, but sitting down to eat at noon on Christmas Eve there with all the Charlie's food is great. And I've told you, I think I've had them kind of cater. I say cater, but it's not the full catering deal. But I do the box, I do the pizza and wings, and you get another pizza for free. Really, you can't beat the deal. So every time I have a holiday gathering, we do Charlie's. And Utica Pizza Company, actually.
Their special right now, catering special, is you buy a full tray of anything. Salad, chicken riggies, greens, baked chicken, whatever it is, get a second full tray of equal or lesser value at half price. And that's, you could get 10, and you get 10 at half price. It's an awesome special for the holidays now through the end of the year. Did anybody, if you were watching the Bills game yesterday, I've never seen this happen before, but one of the players, I don't even know who it was, their helmet got caught into another player's jersey. And the guy is walking back after the play, and there's a jersey dangling from the back of his jersey. There's a helmet dangling from the back of his jersey. Did anybody see that?
I didn't. That's great. I have seen two players get their face
helmets,
masks entangled. Yeah.
This was attached to his jersey. Yesterday, during the halftime of Utica City FC at the Adirondack Bank Center, there was a wedding.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah, there was an
actual.
I
watched it right on the big screen.
Yeah, we were there at the 72. We watched it.
It wasn't a proposal, it was a wedding.
No,
it was a wedding.
Yeah. They were married.
Wow.
And I believe it's like some sort of a record, like this has never happened before, where during the halftime of a professional soccer game, a couple has been married. It might be a first. That really shocks me.
So was it open bar at the Adirondack Bank Center yesterday? Or?
I don't know, but I do. It was funny because you saw the limos outside. I mean, she was
funny.
in a gown and
he had more like a button down. I don't think he was in a full tux.
He bounced the ring off his head and she caught it on her finger. It was really cool. Also, Charles Leno Jr. Did I say that right from the Bears? If you're watching that game. He's the left tackle for Chicago. He proposed to his girlfriend on the sidelines after they beat the Packers yesterday. You know what happened, right?
She said yes.
Yeah. Rob says that Trump will let the government shut down this week. I say never going to happen. He says he doesn't care about the federal employees. They don't vote GOP. Do you think that he will? There is no way this president will shut down this government just before the holidays. It is never going to happen. He will kick the can down into January, right? Don't you think they're going to come up with something?
I think they probably will to delay it, but I don't know. You know, Trump, he's not afraid to shut the government down. Didn't he actually say that he wanted to shut the government down?
He did, but you have to take him for this is all part of his art of negotiation, I believe. Don't mess with me, because listen, I'll do it. I'll jump. I'll do it. And everybody else is like, yeah, he might, just like you're saying. He might do it. I mean, he might do it. I don't think so. It would be an ugly story to shut down the government before the holidays. I don't care if it's 30% of federal employees or not. And I just don't. I don't see it happening.
Wouldn't well, I guess not. There's probably no Christmas displays, right, that the government has where they would turn all the lights off.
Yeah, there are
the Christmas tree.
Yeah. Well, the left will love that then, right? Wouldn't the left love that? They'd be rooting for it.
You mean the left that doesn't believe in Christmas and feels that we shouldn't?
The ones who banned it to begin with.
They banned it, right? Yeah, that Obama Muslim. Bill in Herkimer with a question this morning. Hello, William. Good morning.
Good morning. How's everybody today?
Wonderful. It's Christmas week. It's or the week before Christmas week.
Yes, I'm glad everything's okay with all your stuff there.
Yeah, everything's good.
Have we gotten into it yet?
I haven't yet.
We
I'll
haven't
get
gotten into it yet.
I'll do it after the free money.
I started. All right.
Yeah.
I got a question about this girl that died in Border Patrol.
Yeah, it's a bad story.
Yeah. Well, I got a question of her mother brought her all this ways and everything, and put her in danger.
Mm-hmm.
Nobody's even mentioned anything about that. They're saying it was the Border Patrol's fault. And
well, ultimately, this is our responsibility. I mean, if we have somebody in custody and we let them die of dehydration, are you kidding me?
Yeah,
100%. But
the mother's part.
I get it. I'm with you. I can't believe all these. I understand they're trying. Supposedly, the story is that they're trying to find a place where it's not oppressive, where they could have opportunity. It's America. I get it. Right. But at the same time, you got to know this is going to get ugly, and you're bringing your young kids. It's crazy.
Well, I understand that it's a terrible situation down there, but doing that, I don't know. It just hits me that way. Not like it's our fault.
Well, ultimately, Bill, though, it is our fault.
Well,
I mean,
I guess it is. Huh?
But the fact that the mother brought this kid into this very dangerous situation is the mother's fault too. It's
endangering the welfare of a child. Sounds like to me.
Yep. So I guess I'm with you, and I'm not.
So
does that make any sense?
This is a story from the Associated Press I posted on our website over the weekend. It says the girl's father says she had not had anything to eat or drink for several days. Some 7 hours after she was taken into custody, she was put on a bus to the near. No, I shouldn't say custody. She was in the custody of Border Patrol. Right. She was put on a bus to a Border Patrol station. Soon after she got on the bus, she began vomiting, and she actually was deceased by the end of the 2-hour drive.
And here's the problem.
Breathing.
As I said last night, I had the BBC people asking questions about what's going on over here, and they had two things they wanted to talk about last night. Number one was SNL. Number two was this girl who we let die. That's the problem with this. No matter what really happened, no matter who's really at fault, it's a black eye on us because we allowed it to happen.
She was dying before she got there.
Maybe
dehydration. That
maybe.
Takes a little while.
Yeah. Again, the problem is that it makes us look terrible. But
yeah, I know.
It's awful.
Well,
all right, Bill.
I'd hone in on that. It kind of bothered me a little.
Yep.
But
fair enough. I get it. Then why are these parents bringing their kids? I don't get it.
Right.
All right. Thanks, man.
Have
Bill,
a good day, guys.
You too. Bill and Herkimer, and I will get into my debacle, the colonop debacle, coming up in a bit. Mayor Jackie Izzo in Rome. It's a big day in the city of Rome today because there's a new convenience eliminating a temporary inconvenience. Good morning, Jackie Izzo.
Good morning.
Happy holidays to you.
You too.
The lights are shining and twinkling in Rome. It looks beautiful.
They are.
All right. So there was a structural problem at the train station in Rome, which meant you had to shut the whole thing down. But that, as of today, has changed, at least temporarily. There's a fix in place.
Yes. Well, this fix is in place forever if we want it to be. I think people don't understand. On the 4th of July, there's only one way to get to the platform. It's through what we call a passenger passageway, which is like a tunnel.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a catastrophic break of the ceiling. And it's not a ceiling like in your house. This is very thick plaster. Luckily, nobody was in there. They would have gotten killed.
Wow.
So, yeah, we had that come down on one side. So it took us a while to secure some state funding to help us repair this because this is going to go far beyond the temporary repair we've done now.
Mm-hmm.
We're probably going to spend upwards of $250,000
wow.
in this,
wow.
just in this tunnel area.
Hmm.
Well, you've got a very old building,
mm-hmm.
and as we've encountered throughout the city, preventative maintenance just hasn't been done in a while, and you can't do that in these municipally owned buildings. So we took measures we couldn't reopen until we could safely and securely let people move through that passageway. Now we have that structure in place, and we can move on now and look at the more permanent repair. But the real important part was getting the station back open to passenger traffic.
Well, the fact is, but God forbid if somebody had actually been inside there and died.
You're not kidding. I went down there 4th of July afternoon shortly after it happened. That would have been a tragedy.
Yeah, yeah. So everything is back open and running as of today, right?
Yep, as of 7 o'clock this morning,
okay.
We're all moving. Amtrak has been notified, and they know now they can stop at the station, and so arrivals and departures will happen as normal on the schedule.
Which is big, because up until this point, people have either had to travel to Utica or elsewhere, right, in order to pick up the train.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes, and then that was a great inconvenience. One thing we did learn through this process, though, was there are quite a number of people that rely on the train, which that's good. We always thought so, because people, in the past they'd say, well, who uses the train station?
Right.
Well, it turns out quite a few people, and they use it on a regular basis.
Yeah, I recently discovered the train and had never really taken the train like to places like New York City. But it's the way to go. And I love driving in that traffic. You can go really fast and past people. I love it. But there's something about taking the train in. You don't have to worry, and you're sitting there and, work on your laptop or whatever. It's a convenience.
Much more pleasurable.
Yeah, it really is. So, all right, and much more pleasurable from the city of Rome now. That's a big deal.
Absolutely.
All right, Mayor, thanks for taking the time. We'll see you on Monday.
Yes,
all right.
Christmas Eve.
Cool. Christmas Eve show. All right.
Have
Mayor,
a great week.
Thanks so much. You too, the mayor. And get out there and see those lights in the city of Rome. It's a combination of come from all different places, including Trinkus Manor. And it's well worth taking a look at, even if it isn't snowing, although we might get a little snow this week. Mayor Jackie Izzo. I want to get into Friday. I was coming in Friday morning, and I clearly did not make it in on Friday. Yes. And it had nothing to do with worrying about going to the bathroom. Had nothing to do with any of that. I will tell you, I lost 5 pounds between Thursday morning and Friday morning.
Nice.
5 pounds.
Nice.
Pretty
It's
wild.
a 24-hour cleanse.
It is quite the cleanse.
You can
And
get me a hold of that. You got any of that stuff left over?
it's all over the counter stuff. Yeah.
Oh, is it really?
Anyway, so my colonoscopy was not until noon, and I just want to say the people over there were awesome. The doctors and the staff and the nurses, everybody was incredible. A few things that I learned that are misnomers, stuff that came out of this whole thing. I learned that it's not called endoscopy, and it's called endoscopy.
Okay, yeah.
Didn't know that.
I think I knew that, but ignored it maybe or forgot about it.
I'm an idiot. I guess I didn't know.
Endoscopy. Okay.
Endoscopy.
I've always said it wrong then, too.
I always thought it was endoscopy. It's endoscopy. Let's see. What else did I learn? There's stuff everybody told me you're going to love the drugs they give you. Not so much. I would love to have that every night, be able to say, all right, I'm going to sleep in 3 seconds and be right out. That would be pretty cool. However, they use so it's not Demerol, it's something else. And whatever it is, it was fed through an IV. And it's really funny. So they'll tell you have to lay on your side. So I'm going through the endoscopy and the colonoscopy. They're doing the upper first, endoscopy. So they put a little thing in your mouth, you bite down on it, they strap it around, and she said, okay, now, and she'd prepped me beforehand. I knew it was coming. And she said, I want you to breathe in through your mouth and breathe out through your nose. And that is the last thing I remember until I woke up. The other thing about this new anesthesia is that it hits you immediately. There's none of this, I'm seeing things flying through the air.
Or like you start like hitting on the nurse and like stuff like that.
Yeah.
There's none of that.
Correct. I was thinking I'd say something offensive to somebody. I was really worried about that.
Mm-hmm.
Like, you know what you said? Well, I don't think I said anything.
Who's that ugly person over there?
Literally within a split second, I was out. And the other part of this medicine is that when you wake back up, you're competent. And they won't let you drive home, and you don't. But I remember everything. I remember when I first woke up. I remember my wife coming in.
Were you groggy?
A little bit, slightly, but not bad at all.
Really?
I was
Any
feeling pretty good.
discomfort? Like, had you felt that there had been intrusions?
I did have. I'll reveal the reveal that I'm going to reveal is. So for the last year, and probably the last 6 months, I have been having a situation where, without getting into anything disgusting, I don't want to get into anything disgusting, but there has been a blood issue when I go to the bathroom.
Okay.
Oh, man.
So, and sometimes it was like pretty bad, but everybody always said that's hemorrhoids. So, it'll happen from time to time. Well, in the last month or so, it's like, it was like every day. So I'm like, I was scared to death to go in thinking that this was going to be something that was cancerous. And by the way, it could have been if I let it go. Mm-hmm. But of the polyps, there was one that they believe was causing all the bleeding. And sure enough, that is completely gone. But it was so large they had to use a staple, which is probably common.
Oh, wow.
I've heard of people. I talked to somebody yesterday. They said they had 14 polyps removed when they had their colonoscopy done.
So when they're in there and they find them, they just take them out right there. It's
that's all. You agree to that going in, and that's what you want, because I don't want to go through this all over again.
No,
right.
No.
So, but the blood thing, it was really scary. I mean, it's scary, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking
there shouldn't
the worst.
be blood there.
You're thinking the worst.
Yeah.
Uh-huh.
And then you'll kind of hint to your doctor, which I learned I need to be far more honest with my doctor when you talk to your doctor, and not be afraid, because otherwise it's only going to get worse. And if you wait, had I waited on this, the physician that did the colonoscopy said this would have been a big problem, which could have turned into a tumor. Technically, it's what it kind of was. It was a tumor. It's like 3 centimeters, I think they said. It was pretty large.
Wow.
So with that said, this corrected all of it. No cancer, none of that. All of this stuff went positive. So I get out of there, and I could not. All of a sudden, my blood pressure shot up. Couldn't get my blood pressure down, so I couldn't be discharged. So eventually, we got that down, and they said go home and eat. And I read the paperwork that said eat lightly, but I have been craving. Last week, we gave away Comets tickets, I think, to somebody over at Pulaski Meat Market.
Yes.
And he came in, and he brought this gigantic piece of this kielbasa.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like, you know what? That is going to be my treat when I get out of this stinking colonoscopy. And that was the dumbest thing I ever could have done.
Oh.
And it's not like I ate a lot of it. I ate 4 slices. Fried them up as soon as I got home. I was feeling good.
How big were the slices?
Were you in violation of what they told you as far as what you could and couldn't eat?
Yes. They said, it said eat light. So I'm like, well, I'll only have 4 pieces. That's light, right?
But what was the problem?
Boom. Now remember, nothing in my stomach at all except for mustard and these 4 slices of fried kielbasa. And the pain began. And it got worse. And then I'm thinking, well, maybe I need to put more into my stomach. So I ate something lighter for the most part. Maybe a little stuff I shouldn't have eaten even more and made it worse. And by the time it got to be like 7 o'clock, I was in such pain I could barely walk. So then you got to call through. And I don't want to go to the emergency room. You go to the emergency room because you could be bleeding. I mean, you could be bleeding.
Oh, boy.
So they were awesome and helped, recommended that I go to the emergency room. I opted not to do that, and I got through it. Temperature rose. I was at over 102 temperature on Friday night. So if there's anybody that's ever going to go through something and not have it go normally like everybody else in the world, it's me. And I feel it's like self-induced because I shouldn't have. What am I doing eating kielbasa?
Well,
what a moron. What an idiot.
In any other circumstance, it would have been a smart thing, eating kielbasa. But.
I have like a dual
that
question.
Kielbasa was good, though. Yeah. I put it in the freezer. I'm going to eat it this Friday.
Because I think this is important. There's a lot of prep that goes into this, at least 24 hours leading up to it. You said you had a staple, and then all of a sudden, like once you wake...
This is amazing when you think about what they're doing microscopically. They're doing through a tube. It's really incredible.
So, but once you wake up, you're basically... No restrictions as far as...
Well, you can't drive. You can't operate any machinery. They will not. They will not let you leave. They walk you to the car to make sure you are not driving.
And then they don't tell you... What did they tell you as far as what you couldn't... Are there things you couldn't eat? I mean, obviously you had a little issue here, but...
Take it easy. This is the problem.
But it's not like all liquid. It's not soup and Jell-O and all that. No.
Although you're probably better off going down that road. I could have eaten an egg or even a steak. I mean, the plan was I was going to go have. I was craving oysters, but we never got there because I thought before the oysters I'd try a little kielbasa.
Have a little
just
pre-snack.
I'm like, they told me to eat lightly. I'm only eating 4 little slices,
doused in mustard.
I just feel like it's embarrassing because who would do that?
Well,
who would be so stupid as to do that?
Well, the mind does crazy things when you haven't eaten for a little while.
I'm gonna say I did it because I was on the meds. Although I did just say I remember everything and I didn't feel any grogginess.
Some side effects are subtle.
Yeah, it was dumb. And the other part of this, because my wife is like, "Hello, I had a child," and I was talking to other people saying, "You don't understand. Guys are," and it is true, but it isn't the pain. I can live with pain. It is the fear of what the pain is.
Right.
That's the problem. Yeah. Is my stomach now filling up with blood? Is there internal bleeding going on? Right. Is that what the pain has caused? So it's that fear that is more than anything else. But the fact is that it was Tim that inspired me to do this. Thank God he did, because I knew I should have done it. It's one of those things. You put it off, and then you put it off again, and then, and it's a lot. It's a day and a half, 2 days out of your schedule. The prep alone, it beats you up. It is not about having to go to the bathroom for me. It wasn't about having to drink the liquids. Those were easy to do. Although you're drinking 64 ounces of liquid in an hour or so, and maybe closer to 2 hours. That is annoying and bothers you a little bit. But ultimately, it's pretty simple. But it is the making yourself do it because you know you have to do it, and you do have to do it. So if I could take Tim's inspiration and inspire somebody else, had I not taken care of that, it would have turned into something cancerous. It was all, the signs were already there, and I was blaming it on something else. It was truly something that would have been something horrible and ultimately would have turned into colon cancer. And so if I could inspire somebody, then I hope that I am doing that today. Tom in Yorkville, good morning.
Yeah, Bill, you're describing exactly what happened to me in September.
Okay, so I'm not the only one.
When I got home, my doctor put me on low-fiber diet for a week.
I'm on a low-fiber diet.
Okay,
but I never...
I guess that's to not tear the staple out.
Right, not to tear it. So no seeds, no heavy fiber, any of that
No
stuff.
salad, too, right?
No salad.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You're describing exactly what happened to me.
So did you? So the blood thing and all, Tom.
Like, a little drop here and there.
Yeah, and that's how it started for me. But in the last couple of months, it was getting bad.
So Tom, you also had the post-op pain. You ate.
No, that's what I was saying was different. I didn't have that, and I ate pretty good.
Because he followed the doctor's advice. Yeah. It was pain. And it's Tom, though, it's the fear of not knowing what that pain is. We all have pain. You live with pain. But when you don't know what's causing it, you start to think, okay, this is bad. So, yeah. All right, Tom. So you had it done in September. How old are you?
Yeah, 66.
66. All right, man.
Well, okay.
It's a good thing. It's something we all have to do, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Thanks for the call, Tom.
All
right. Low fiber is where I'm at this week. And I'm following that. Believe me, after Friday, I am. It's easy though. I don't eat any bread anyway, but it's any of that roughage, any of that stuff. But somewhere along the line, the really spicy stuff too, you got to stay away from.
Yeah. I guess I can imagine on a completely empty stomach throwing all that spice in there.
Completely empty stomach, the first thing you put in your stomach, stupid. And I have to say, the nurse that called back, because we'd gotten to the point where my wife was like, "You got to call. The number's right there. You got to call."
Yeah.
So we got the call back, and the nurse was awesome, and said, because I'm telling her, "Well, I was thinking about doing this," and she's like, "No, for God's sakes, don't do that. You'll be bleeding out if you do that, or any of this stuff." It's all about following and moderation and not being an idiot.
And a quick note on talking to your doctor and being honest with your doctor. I can't tell you how many conversations I've had with people who say, "Oh, I wouldn't, I have this pain, but I don't mention it to my doctor." And
I have to say that was me. Who wants to go and say you're bleeding when you go to the bathroom?
But it's your doctor. There's a confidence there, and how can they fix it without knowing?
I did say it, and he's like, "Oh, it's probably hemorrhoid. It's not a lot, right?" And at the time, it really wasn't. But in the last couple of months, it became something that seemed like, "Wow, this is quite a hemorrhoid I got here."
If you're, if you're honest with your doctor and with that, honestly, they've probably heard worse. Odds are they've probably heard worse.
Chances are it'd be better telling my doctor than talking about it on the radio.
Yeah, he won't tell his doctor, but
yeah.
Well, you guys think I should tell my doctor about these hemorrhoids?
Ultimately, though, I really hope that, like Tim has inspired me, I hope that somebody else out there is going through the same thing. And you know what? You're worrying about it. You're sitting there and you're worried, scared to death over it. You're a lot better after they come out and they tell you, "Hey, everything's okay, and we've corrected the problem, and you got to come back in a year." So that's far better. Sue in Utica, good morning.
Hi, Bill. Glad everything turned out okay, and I just want to extend my sympathies to your poor wife because you just are such a typical man.
Oh.
You're hungry and you're going to eat, and I don't care.
Oh.
My husband's thing would be an Oscar needs pizza after that, let me tell you. But I tell you, I'm glad everything turned out all right, and it's nice that we could joke around about it now.
Yes,
and I just want to say the facilities we have here, the technology we have here are close to no one else's. And like I said, my husband's dealt with a serious issue, had robotic surgery, which sing their praises left and right. I just want to put it out there, that lung screening, if you're a smoker, please go get that CAT scan. I can't speak about it enough.
Yeah, they say even if you smoked in the past, right, Sue? Like even if
Pardon?
you were a former smoker, you should take that?
Exactly. My husband was, naturally, he's in his 70s, started out in high school, then the Army, then work, then on and off would quit and smoke. Not a heavy smoker towards the end. I mean, a pack would last him a week.
Right, but it's enough. Yeah.
It's just enough to, we don't know when is that last cigarette caused that growth.
You know what? We have all of this technology now, these advancements in medicine, and if you don't take advantage of it, though, it is meaningless. You got to take advantage of it.
That CAT scan saved his life, I think, just knowing that it was just stage one.
Yep.
We're just so grateful for that.
Well,
but it could have been like you, a lot worse.
Sue, thank you so much. I appreciate that.
Happy holidays.
You have
Merry
a great
Christmas,
holiday.
everybody.
Thanks so much.
Bye-bye.
You too, Sue.
Happening here on the radio Monday morning, a week from today, is our Christmas Eve extravaganza, and it's brought to you by Charlie's Pizza and Utica Pizza Company, which is brand new over in Whitesboro. It's close to you, so you're there a lot. And they have a special. They have two, a large and a medium. Buy a large cheese and wing special. So there's a large and a medium cheese and wing special. You get an extra large cheese pizza along with it. So for the large, you end up with three, I think, right? And with the smaller one, you end up with two large cheese pizzas. So you get an extra one with each. That special is going on right now, and they've extended it through the end of the year at Utica Pizza Company in Whitesboro.
Yeah,
next to NBT Bank.
Love it.
And they'll be catering our event here on Monday. So if you do make your way in, and we always say feel free to swing by, there'll be plenty of food to check out. One other thing I wanted to mention is there is a benefit for Councilman Bill Phillips, the City of Utica councilman.
Yeah.
And Marcus, his son, was in studio talking about this last week. It's 5 till 7 tomorrow at Danielle's at Valley View. Tickets are $25. You can get them at City Hall. There's food and cash bar. There'll be music, raffles to benefit the family. And it is pancreatic cancer, which is one of the really tough ones. But he's fighting and plowing forward. And it's tomorrow from 5 till 7. If you can go, please do. We're all going to be there tomorrow.
Yeah, we all bought tickets like on the spot. And I did mention this. Mr. Phillips was one of my youth baseball coaches, and I actually played some ball with Marcus when we were kids. But, I mean, everything from instruction to proper behavior and how to act, like a young man, not like a hoodlum.
Mm-hmm.
And he taught us all that. And in addition to that, he would also cart us to and from games. And my mother was big with going to games, but then when I had a younger brother, she couldn't go to everyone. And Marcus and I were both on a travel team. So I remember numerous times loading up in the Phillips van, and we would go on little road trips to go play games and stuff. And just a really great guy. And I'm sorry he's dealing with this right now.
That is tomorrow night over at Valley View. And again, tickets, you can contact City Hall. They would help you out with tickets. But also Jack LaMedico, who's council member, current council member. Jack is still on the board. 315-952-8408 is his phone number. Big story in over the weekend in the Observer-Dispatch concerning the fire chief situation. So there's 4 from within. Very interesting that the mayor had opened this up to outside outside city residents, so you don't have to be a city resident to apply. Mm-hmm. And everything came from within the fire department. I kind of wonder why that is.
Well, I believe the union was kind of saying, we have guys ready to go here, right? Guys
yeah, but it's open. Anybody could have applied, and they didn't. Anyway, it's the controversy over the sword fighting mess that went on last year, that craziness. There's the stuff on the fire suit mess. There's just a disaster. All these things that have happened. When you think about in the last year, the craziness that's come out of that firehouse that has always been traditionally straight-laced, and then the Chief Brooks thing. You take all of that on the shoulders of Mayor Palmieri right now.
I just want to say you're right. I'm not disagreeing.
It's all on his watch.
There's 2 cases going on involving basically two members of the department, but
Mm-hmm.
there are well over 100 people in that department, and they still are straight-laced. They still do a great job. They still risk a lot every day.
I completely agree. This is a minority of the situation. I mean, It's a small minority. It's crazy, but it happened.
Yeah.
And it has now the handling of this. So some would say maybe the punishment of the sword fighting, because that was a chief, right, an assistant chief, that punishment was so lenient, it is causing problems with other cases. So we will see what happens with all of that. But a very interesting story over the weekend, pretty good sized story in the Observer Dispatch over the weekend. Jamie Tuttle is in studio right now. And with Oneida County Herkimer Solid Waste, good morning.
Good morning.
He didn't say that right, did he? It sounded a little awkward.
What did I say wrong?
It's just Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste.
Oh.
But, I mean,
Authority. Yeah,
you were
Oneida
pretty close.
Oh,
Yep,
Solid
Oneida
Waste
Herkimer
Authority?
Solid Waste
There's no authority?
There is the authority. You threw in county, but I mean...
Did I say county? Yeah. I'm just adding words in.
Everybody always messes
Yeah,
up.
I'm post-colonoscopy. It's really been... I'm going to milk this all the way until the cows come home.
This all week.
Yep. Oh,
I mean...
Why'd you do that? Well, I just had a colonoscopy last week.
Get it right, Bill, or Jamie's going to shove a plastic bottle up there.
No, she's not.
I got to tell you, watching on 60 Minutes last night, the story of where, we talk about pollutants and these plastic bottles and all that. Did you see any of that last night on 60 Minutes?
I didn't see it last night, but I've seen, obviously it's all over news
especially
articles
in lower economic third world countries around, and even in cities that are struggling here in the United States. There's some really bad where it's just sludge. The water's sludge and plastic and bottles and garbage.
It's scary.
It is scary.
Yes.
So it makes you think that I feel like what we do plays no role in the rest of the world, but it has to start here.
Yes,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Yeah.
And right here in Oneida and Herkimer counties, we fortunately have a system that allows us to not have to worry about, our plastics or other things ending up in the ocean. Anything we throw away obviously goes to our landfill in Ava, and then our recyclables are all sent out to secure markets.
It's the little things,
where
too.
they'll be turned into new things.
They talked about last night about, plastic bags, Ziploc bags. You don't recycle them, right?
We do not. Those are
Yeah.
a garbage item, or we have been encouraging people to take them back to the grocery stores because they're considered a plastic film.
Oh,
so
really?
They can go back to the grocery store.
Freezer bags?
Yep.
Oh,
they
no
can go
kidding.
back with your grocery bags, bread bags, dry cleaning bags, Ziploc bags, bubble wrap. That's all considered plastic
You
film.
can take that
And
back to the
right
grocery
now-
store? I didn't even know that.
Yes, every grocery store in New York State is mandated to take back plastic film for recycling. And there's, like I said, a long list of what's considered plastic film. And then what the grocery stores do is typically that plastic film will go back to their warehouse. They bale it, and then it goes to market. So it's kind of like Trex decking. A lot of them partner with Trex, so they turn it into that plastic lumber.
Didn't know that.
So I have to ask you, and then I have another question. We'll get to my other question later. But, okay, so a lot of times you're talking about the grocery store. When you go in, there'll be a big plastic box somewhere near the entrance, and you'll see there's bags of bags in there. And that's where you can drop them. So you said it's not just the garbage bags. It's bread bags, Ziploc bags.
Dry cleaning bags.
One of the things you said was bubble wrap. That was...
Yep.
I didn't
Bubble
realize
wrap,
that
I
that's
didn't
a
know
type
that.
of film. I
Yes,
thought that was
bubble wrap.
recyclable by itself.
Okay.
Basically, plastic
I
film.
got to call home now. I got a whole bunch of bubble wrap in my recycling bin right now.
Get that out of the orange bin.
It's like thin, stretchy plastic. The wrappers around like a case of water bottles or paper towels.
Okay, I've always wondered about that.
Stuff.
So what
Yes.
about saran
So
wrap?
not-
Plastic wrap then would be that, right?
Yeah,
If you
so
wanted to get
not
crazy
like
about
you
that.
can use it based on that. It's got to be stretchy. You can't say
What
like
about
a
a-
chip bag or a wrapper. You know,
Okay.
that's not like
But
thin and
but
stretchy and flexible.
But a Ziploc bag, those are all okay.
Those are accepted. Yes.
Because
Right
that
now
was
we
a
have
big part of the story, by the way, because
is the Ziploc
stuff
bags.
doesn't all float. There's this kid in Holland that has come up with this new technique to skim the ocean, and it believes that we can reduce the pollutants in our waters by 80% in the next 10 years or something, whatever the number was. The problem is when water gets into these, they sink.
Yes.
And that he's doing like 18 inches or something from the surface of the water. You can't get to the bottom where it's really bad on the bottom.
Right, and some plastics, they don't float. Like, your water, soda, juice bottles. We tell you with all containers now you can leave your lids on. When those bottles go to the recycling markets, they actually, once they grind them up or chip them up into smaller pieces, they basically submerge it in water, and the cap plastic, which is typically not the polyethylene like the bottle, will float, but the PET will sink.
Oh, it sinks.
So that's how they actually separate.
So take all that stuff
was
back.
Really complex stuff,
and it's
right there.
even that's even if you're like if it's contaminated. Like for instance, I'll marinate chicken in a Ziploc bag.
Okay, that's a good point. It has to be clean and dry. So that's actually one of the reasons why.
That would stink at the grocery
why
store.
we can't take them back at the recycling center. The markets need clean, dry material, and by the time we get material at the recycling center, we just can't give them a quality product that they want. So they have to be clean and dry. Right now, we're hosting our 3rd annual plastic film recycling challenge for the schools. I think I've got like 16 schools on the list that are participating right now. And it's amazing. Even I was up at Remsen Junior Senior High School the other day. They have, they're a very small school. And they had, I think, over 300 pounds just in the first few weeks of collecting it. And then, you think about how much a plastic bag weighs.
Are there a whole bunch of schools doing this? Because my
Yes.
wife has just told me that New Hartford is doing a collection right now.
Yes, New Hartford, the entire district is collecting. They're all in the contest except for Perry, I think. So the high school, all the elementary schools, they have been collecting.
And so whoever collects the most, there's a contest at the end and somebody wins something.
Yep.
What do they win?
So the elementary school wins presentations from the Utica Zoomobile.
Cool.
They come in and give presentations to the grade levels. And then the middle high school category, the winners get Kiss FM will come in and do a live remote broadcast during their lunch periods and such. Yes.
Awesome.
So
Maybe
we
they'll
love
come in here
Kiss
and do
FM.
it in here.
Could they come in and yeah, boy, a little of that. I'd love that. We get that going in here. That'd be awesome.
Maybe next year we'll have you be the prize.
No,
You come into the
they'd be like, "Who's this old guy who just had a colostomy again?" Or sorry,
Sorry. You want to tell us?
colonoscopy. We're trying to avoid.
Colostomy bags. They have the film.
I'm trying to avoid the colostomy. By the way,
on Friday, I had to, every time I talked about you, I'm like, Bill's having a colonoscopy.
Yeah.
Because I wanted to say the
But
other.
those
to
are
avoid
items
the
that-
colostomy. That's really what you're doing.
Any items from that we'd prefer that are not they're not recycled.
Can I pop in with
Do
another
not want
question?
to
Just checking.
I have to make a list. I'm telling you, I walk around my house and I'm like, oh, I got to ask Jamie about this. I got to ask Jamie about. Okay, one thing is like Chinese food containers, that material. So Rubbermaid-ish stuff.
It's got like a wax to it, right? So that's the problem.
Yeah. So.
Like Tupperware.
Thank you.
Oh, that
Tupperware
stuff.
is a no.
That's it. That would be a yes.
Oh, you can recycle that.
Plastic, yep, plastic containers, yes. But any paper to-go containers or Chinese food containers or paper plates and cups, those are not recyclable.
Even the plastic Chinese food containers?
Oh, no. Okay, so the plastic ones would be a yes. The clear plastic.
The ones you get your
Yes.
combo
Not
in.
foam.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. But
Not the
like the
sides.
rice.
C16. Yeah,
Yes,
those ones.
Exactly.
So those little fold up with a wire thing, the wire would be recyclable or no?
No.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
so
throw
the
that out.
paper ones that have like the rice jammed in it, it's amazing how much rice can be
It's a
in
lot of
one
rice in
those,
there, yeah.
But those paper containers are not recyclable.
But the plastic ones are. And then you
plastic
said
ones
yes
are.
to
And the
Tupperware. I
lids,
thought for
yes.
years people have said, no, you can't.
Yep. As long as it's a plastic bottle, cup, or container. you
They
can
just
put
said
it
that
in.
because nobody wants to get rid of their Tupperware. Let's be honest.
Right.
Trust me,
yeah,
I'm so sick of
typically
Tupperware. I hate it.
We had a
You
caller.
can never find the stinking lids. I try to
know.
buy the same crap. Let's only buy the same size. Well, we have to have something for my salad dressing. You know, we're loaded with them, and there's no place to put them.
Then you
I
pull.
hate
Then
it.
you open the cabinet door and it falls and it collapses. It's like
Well,
that commercial.
Not anymore because I can't seem to find any of my Tupperware anymore. My
I've
roommate
recycled
seems
it.
to disappear with
been
them
recycled.
quite often. I don't know where they go.
We had somebody call up to change the subject quickly. Styrofoam, I know, is non-recyclable. He was talking specifically like when you go to the meat department and you get like steak and it's wrapped in a plastic.
Yes, so that is anytime you have meat packaging or the foam tray that it comes on, that is always a
Always
garbage
garbage.
item. Yep.
Even the meat, what they wrap, because that's kind of almost a. I don't know if they use
Well, that
wax
would be that
or
film
what.
again, right? Wouldn't it be?
If they whatever film they put on there to stop the juices from coming out.
Yes,
so if you're
exactly.
any of that butcher stuff, although there is a butcher paper that is just paper, that would be okay.
So like if you and a lot of times if you get like seafood, they wrap it in the brown paper. If there's no coating on it, then you could
Okay,
recycle
all right.
that. Mm-hmm.
All right.
I'm sorry. I know
Okay.
we did all this stuff, and then we never even got to the holiday stuff. The paper, the gift
Well,
cards. and all
sorry,
that
we're out of
stuff.
time.
Got time tomorrow? Just kidding. So quickly on
Yeah.
paper, what do you do with the gift wrapping paper, and then what do you do with cards? Because I guess cards don't go in normal recycling. You need to put them in like a box or something, right?
No, so for the holiday recycling, typically wrapping paper is not accepted for recycling, but the 2 weeks following Christmas, we do accept it. And that's just because there's such a large volume, the markets will accept the lower quality for a short time. So your wrapping paper, the biggest thing is it cannot be in a plastic bag. It has to be smushed down in your recycling bin with your other recyclables. Folded or flattened, we say. Obviously, you're not going to fold it, but, try to keep it flat rather than balled up. No ribbon or anything like that. That's a trash item. And then actually the cards, holiday gift cards, greeting cards, those can go right in your recycling bin.
They can be recycled.
Yep, they can go right in the bin. And then
I usually cross the name off and recycle them by sending them out the next year.
just white out.
Just get the same color
White
ink,
out.
change the year a little bit.
I send it right
That's
back
it.
to the same
Hey,
people.
Reuse is even
Yeah.
better than recycling, Bill.
It's amazing how you're able to send other people's families. They do the pictures of their families, and you send them out to somebody else. It's like, this is what we wish we looked like. We don't look this way.
Bill looks great since he got that colonoscopy.
Yeah.
My God.
I've grown hair.
Came back and everything.
I have 3 more kids. It's crazy. I've never seen anything like
Is
it.
that what was up there?
Yeah. We're talking with Jamie Tuttle from Oneida Herkimer Solid Waste Authority, and anything else you should worry about with holiday time.
I mean, there's
Styrofoam is the big thing.
Styrofoam is a no. When you're getting if you've been online shopping and things, making sure that your cardboard that you've emptied it out before you put it in the recycling bin, like all the packing peanuts or bubble wrap.
So
and
you
things
really
like
have to
that.
you got to put a little time into this, because inside the box that is recyclable is a lot of garbage that is not.
Yes,
and,
exactly.
And I have done this, and tell me if this is okay. So you get a Barbie doll, for instance.
Yes.
And the Barbie doll is cardboard. It's in a cardboard box, but it has the cellophane window on it.
Right.
So I rip the cellophane off and put the cardboard in, or no?
Yes, that's right.
okay.
Yep,
All
the
right.
cardboard can go in. That other plastic part would just be a trash item.
I have a
on
big
the
one for you
plastic
coming up. I'm excited about this one. I just want these guys to get rid of all of their questions. Anything else anybody can think about?
Oh, no, I don't think so.
Anything else you want to add, Jamie?
I'm done for today, yeah.
Just keep in mind that there's a lot of things we can recycle if you drop them off. Electronics, we take those 6 days a week, so you get a new TV. You got to get rid of your old one. Holiday lights, Christmas lights that don't work anymore, you can bring to our Eco Drops. You can also bring them to the CNY Veterans Outreach Center as a donation.
Okay.
We talked about shopping bags, rechargeable batteries, cooking oil, old clothing, all of those things. Check our website. There's so many things you can bring down for recycling rather than just toss in the trash. It's free. We're open 6 days a week, year round. Yeah.
Well, only because I asked her this too. Also, you don't take sharps or medications. That's got to go to you. The
Correct.
medications can go to Utica
Yes,
Police.
medications. There's a long list of police departments that take them 24 hours a day.
Perfect,
Where you can
okay.
drop them off.
Okay, 2 things. I am about to empty out some storage units before the end of the year.
Oh boy.
Because I've thought about how much this is. I used to have an office on Genesee Street, whole studio. I have all of that garbage in storage. Nicely, what has happened is these storage units are not, they don't keep mice out. So a lot of that stuff has already been ruined. I'm going to throw a lot of stuff out.
Okay.
Stuff I'm going to donate. There are a few things in there that I'd like to keep. However, when you think about it, $250 a month or somewhere in that builds up over 3 years. So it's all going, and I'm going to be making a trip to your place.
Okay.
How do you do that? If I wanted to get a big vehicle and bring a whole bunch of junk over that is all recyclable, what do I do?
So the best thing to do would be if it's like drop off or kind of, when you're loading up your vehicle, try to keep them kind of separate. So
Separated.
it's easy once you get down there. But when you pull into the Eco Drop at our Utica facility, there's big bins with labels, and there's always someone out there to help you where you can dump, say you have like rigid plastics, old lawn furniture, plastic buckets. There's a bin for that.
Okay.
Scrap metal, there's a bin for that. Curbside recyclables like your cardboard, paper, plastic.
I have a
metal,
refrigerator,
glass.
for instance.
A refrigerator that they'll tell you there is a fee for appliances with CFCs. It's a $10 fee, but you'll just tell them, hey, you'll tell her what you have. I have a refrigerator. She'll write you a ticket. You just drive around, unload it. There's a spot for
there's a whole
refrigerators,
system in place.
appliances, electronics. Yes.
And I believe, correct me if I'm wrong, if you have stuff that's just actually trash, you can load it up in your car, and I think what's the max, like $60, but you can get like a whole vehicle's worth of stuff.
Yes.
And just take it right there and dump it.
Yeah, so whatever's left is garbage. You'll just drive over the scale, dump it on the transfer station floor, and then go over the scales again. And
Okay, now you know what you dumped. All right.
Yep.
Hopefully before the end of the year, I'm doing this. And finally, I have this little heater that I use because I have a screen room that we put plastic around. And literally, I can heat it up to about 65 degrees with this heater. It's awesome. I'm sitting outside. The snow's coming down. I get to watch TV now what my wife wants to watch out of my little screen room. It takes these canisters, these Coleman canisters, the little heater.
Yes.
I have like 11 of them right now that are all empty.
Right.
So I have kept them because I don't know what to do with them. Can they go in my bin, or
No.
does something special have to happen?
Yeah, we get a lot of those in the recycling, and they cannot go in the recycling bin. You can bring them down to the Utica or Rome Eco Drops and just drop them off.
Okay, so they have to be specially dropped off.
Yes.
then. So-
Yep.
They're not
You
refillable
just-
like the giant ones, are they?
No.
That's
So
too
all
bad.
So you just pull up, and right in the little shed there's a table. You just set them off, and off you go.
I don't have to
It's
pay for
very-
those, but
Nope,
I have to
and
take
it's
them
free.
in. So
Yes.
along with all the computer
And
monitors
any-
and all the other stuff that I have, that's all going.
Yes, and you can always go to amirecyclable.com to search Oneida and Herkimer County's list and figure
I don't
out
know what
to
it
do.
is. It's about you come in, we get all excited about recycling. It's crazy.
I love all the questions.
I hope your wife is in school by now.
I think so.
Do you know what $250 a month is for 3 years?
Oh, it's awful. I know.
It's almost $10,000.
I know.
Oh my goodness.
I know, Allison. I know.
Well,
Okay.
I at least waited
Deja
until
vu all over again.
Yeah,
until
that's
she
all
was
I
at
hear.
Now
work.
playing the role of Bill's wife is Jeff.
That's all I hear. But, we were moving in the process, so there's furniture in there. There's stuff that we need and we'll now bring to our new house. But it is a God-blessed waste of money.
Yeah. Do
Just
you have a real Christmas tree?
ridiculous. I do not have a real Christmas tree this
We
year.
do take real Christmas trees as well for composting. You can
Okay.
bring those down once you pull all the
Well,
ornaments
I've already
off and
moved her
everything.
once. I'm not moving her again. There's no chance it's going back in my car.
All
It'll
right.
be on my curb.
Again, the website is...
amirecyclable.com,
very
and you can
nice.
search hundreds of items.
Thank you. We appreciate it.
Thank you.
Jamie. 8:37. Hold on. We'll talk a little Buffalo Bills, which was not on TV locally yesterday.
Hint, hint.
8:37. Mark Kelso from the Bills coming up at WIBX.
I just have a quick question. I was going to actually bust your chops, but I said, let me Google it first. It is the Feast or Festival of Seven Fishes, but isn't fish singular and plural? I don't know why it's not the Festival of Fish instead of the Festival of Fishes.
No, it is
Even
fishes.
in the Bible, it's loaves and fishes.
Mhm.
Jesus had the loaves and fishes.
Well, then, so
there
if
are
I-
different types of fishes in the sea.
No, I understand, but plural
School of
fish.
fish.
We're talking
is
about
fish.
Yeah.
biblical.
Yeah.
And that's where the seven fishes comes from. It's
That was- so the Bible was before Merriam-Webster, right? That's
No, Merriam-Webster came first.
Right.
Yeah.
And because you had to have the words to make the Bible, right? I mean,
Which
how
came
else
first,
were
exactly.
were they able to?
It was actually right before Adam or
Is
Eve
this-
bit the
is-
apple.
is
That,
this- do
no,
we-
this is Mark Kelso.
It is
yeah.
Mark. He's going to be not enjoying this conversation. Like I got all the way up. I got on the
woke
phone
up,
to
yeah.
listen to these guys. This is not good. Good morning, Mark Kelso.
Good morning, gentlemen.
We're
How
gonna
you
be
doing?
we're gonna be swimming with the fishes if we mess with this
Yeah.
guy. He'll take
There
care
you
of
go.
us.
He knows a few Great Lakes over there.
All right, Mark Kelso. Well, I have to say that we're moving forward. A pretty decent performance by Josh Allen yesterday.
Yeah, did some things, and I think he's continued his growth process even the last couple of weeks, even last week when there were some turnovers to account for. I think he learned some things. He still did some good things last week, and even in loss. But this week he kind of changed a couple of those things. Only one time he almost got himself in trouble when he was running over to the Lions sideline, and he tried to hit Zay Jones about 12 or 15 yards down the field as he was running to his right. And Darius Slay looked like he intercepted that, but he didn't keep his feet in bounds. That was probably an ill-advised decision, but one that he got away with yesterday. But did a really nice job, threw the ball away a couple times, and and really, I think the offensive line really helped them yesterday and gave him some time downfield. And a couple times I saw some real growth too, because he looked one side and he realized that there was nothing on that side. He had the time to look to the other side, and then he was able to throw to his right side. So I mean, that was a real growth situation there with understanding what he's looking at and who might be open subsequent to something else being taken away, and he delivered a completion in that situation, and I thought that was really that would be beneficial to his long-term growth here.
I had somebody yelling at me last night, like, "Yeah, had Detroit not missed that field goal, they would have lost." No, we marched it down the field. We clearly could have taken the lead in that game. He seems to be getting into a position. Although when you look at him, my God, he looks young, doesn't he? When he takes that helmet off,
I mean, certainly when he is. I mean, he's young, and he played. I mean, he played well in college. He played at Wyoming, and again, so he's not week in and week out. He's not playing against the best competition level at the collegiate level, and so he's seeing guys now that can do things defensively that he probably wasn't as accustomed to. And I mean, great athletes in Wyoming in the conference where he played, but again, not on a weekly basis. I mean, you're not seeing talent that's capable of playing in the NFL as opposed to some of those other big, Power 5 conferences where guys are playing against talent that's really, really good on a weekly basis, and so he's dealing with some of that as well. And he's young, and I mean, but obviously it looks like. I mean, he's got some real ability. He's kind of have that unquantifiable characteristic of being able to make the guys around him better. He's got a serious competitive drive, and seems like he has a really good work ethic. And they've found some things too. A couple of those young guys too, Reggie McKenzie, Isaiah McKenzie. And
I think you said that yesterday on the radio. To be honest with you, I think I
did yesterday. I did.
I heard that.
Reggie McKenzie, not good, but. Although a great player in his day, but those guys, I mean, they've changed the characteristics of this offensive unit that the Bills have been able to put out there on game day, and giving them a vertical component to the passing game, and then the offensive line, they continue to kind of make adjustments there and try to figure out who's going to fit. And yesterday, and John Miller played a lot as the starter at right guard, but Ike Buckner was in there a number of times as well, and got some quality playing time. And so there's still a lot of moving parts there, but I think they've identified some things that they can build from going forward.
One thing I was going to say is it does seem that part of what's happening is he's gaining the respect of his teammates, and these guys have been through a lot when you think about it, especially those that have been around. There's up and down in that quarterback spot. I mean, it's been very unreliable, and you don't know who's going to be there next year or next week sometimes. But he does seem to be working into that leadership role that the Bills so desperately have needed.
Yeah, and that's very true. I mean, they need someone that they can build around, and typically you need to do that around the quarterback position. I think that's the most favorable situation anyways. I mean, obviously, there's some other guys you can build around as well. But that's one of the most important leadership role in sports, in my opinion. Because those guys, I mean, his performance determines the performance of the other 10 guys around him. And if he can't deliver the football, if he can't make adjustments at the line of scrimmage, if he can't understand what the defense is trying to do and make suggestions to the coaching staff about things that he sees that might be available later in the game, if he doesn't have the ability to make quick decisions and kind of the change on the fly, and then sometimes there's just some instinctual things that happen. But I mean that's obviously that's why the guys get paid more than anybody else, and because they have they kind of have the weight of the team on their shoulders, and obviously there's 10 guys around them, but they are the linchpin to that situation. And if you have good play at the quarterback position, you usually can find guys to surround that quarterback with that gives yourself an opportunity to win on game day.
I don't. I never. You've trained me to not ask you about next week because you haven't looked at any of the film. You haven't. But come on, it's the Patriots. I gotta. This is, and as a Bills fan, what a way to come to the end of a season. Not that it's the last game, but to knock off the Patriots. It's absolutely possible. What are your thoughts on going in as a big underdog this weekend against New England?
Yeah, I would think that they're not going to be a huge underdog at some point. I mean, they played them really tough on Monday night at Rare Field in Buffalo, and so that'll come to bear here as people decide to make their predictions about what might happen on Sunday afternoon here on the 23rd. But the Patriots are reeling a little bit. I haven't seen. You're right. I haven't seen the Pittsburgh game. But they've lost 2 in a row, which does not happen very often. Don't think it's happened in probably a number of years in New England, and they haven't been scoring some points. I mean, the defense, it seemed like even yesterday they held up, but they hadn't been scoring some points, and I suspect it's because the Steelers were able to run on them and control the football a little bit and keep the ball out of Brady's hands. I know there was a turnover late in that game as well, but when the Patriots were driving down to score. So, I mean, there's some vulnerability there. There's no question about that. But you're going to have to play clean football because they'll fix what's wrong with them. And I would say that the Bills' running game is not a game that they're going to be able to rely upon from an offensive schematic perspective. So, because John McCoy might be back, I don't know. The whole running back situation is kind of up in the air. So you don't know that, but I do think that that they've made some positive steps here, and I expect them to play them close, and it could be 1 or 2 plays like that. Yesterday we talked about it being the team that made the least mistakes. It was probably going to win the game, and quite frankly, neither team made very many mistakes, and so it turned out to be a 1-point game.
Yeah,
and
this was better. This week was
similar things will happen.
Certainly better when it came to penalties because it just seems like all season long, he'd make a great play. First down, and it gets called back. It just was repetitively happening over the last several weeks, but yesterday was certainly better. So there's progress being made.
Yeah, no question. I think they were averaging over 8 a game, which is it's really hard to win in those situations. And in the previous week, I mean, you gave up 6 huge plays, a couple of special teams, 1 passing play, a couple turnovers. When you give up 6 really kind of game-changing type plays to the opposition, very, very difficult to win. And like you said, the penalties hurt you too because it takes away a big play or it enables a big play by the opposition, and it makes it much more difficult to come out with a victory.
All right, Mark Kelso, as always, we appreciate it. We'll talk to you again next week, and go Bills. Thanks, man.
Yes, sir. Look forward to it. Have a great week in Utica.
All right. Thanks so much. Mark Kelso from the Buffalo Bills. All right. Andrew and Manansky are arguing over the fishes.
What I was trying to say, stop, because I'm telling you, a caller called in, and now I'm going to tell you what the caller said, and then you can respond.
You wrote Jeff is wrong and you're right.
Yeah, because
I asked
you cut
a
me
question.
off.
I didn't say
Stop,
anything.
This is funny, isn't it?
Stop. You cut me off when I was trying to say that a school of one type of fish is fish, plural. Fish. If it's multiple species, then it's fishes, and that's what this teacher of 53 years wanted me to tell you.
I'll give you the exact if you want. I'm sure the teacher could have explained it.
She didn't want to.
But fish is plural. It's one of those like deer. Fish is plural and singular. However, if you are talking about a specific fish, talking biology, you would use fishes.
So if there's a school of trout, that would be look at that
a
bunch
species
of
fish.
If there is trout and bass, look at the fishes. That is what the example is. That is the difference. And so you're in fairness, Jeff wasn't entirely wrong. He was just only partially
asked a
wrong.
question.
And the problem is Jeff has already yelled at his kid for saying, it's not fishes. What are you doing? You're Polish, not Italian. Act like one. Only the Italians say fishes.
Also, in one of the explanations, the use of fishes is if you're an Italian mobster. That was also one of the.
Well, that's when you're swimming with them.
One of the uses.
Right?
Yes.
You're not. You've never heard on Sopranos. You're going to be swimming with the fish. It's always the
that
fishes.
same effect.
So, all right. That's it. We're back here tomorrow morning.